Throughout history, the Book of Daniel has captivated theologians, scholars, and everyday readers alike with its prophetic visions. From the magnificent statue in Nebuchadnezzar's dream to the terrifying beasts in Daniel's own visions, we are drawn into a story that bridges the ancient and the future, a prophecy of kingdoms, power, and divine sovereignty. Today we're exploring the 10 kingdoms described in Daniel, their historical context, and their relevance to our world today. Could they be tied to the geopolitical ambitions we see unfolding before us? Specifically, could current events, such as former President Donald Trump's interest in expanding US territory, play into this grand prophetic vision? Stay with us as we dive into history, scripture, and the signs of our times. Our journey begins in Daniel chapter 2, with King Nebuchadnezzar's famous dream. Daniel, a young Hebrew captive, is called to interpret this perplexing vision. In it, the king sees a colossal statue, composed of 4 distinct materials: gold, silver, bronze, and iron, with feet made of iron mixed with clay. Daniel explains that the materials represent successive kingdoms. The head of gold? That's Babylon. The chest and arms of silver? That's the Medo-Persian Empire. The belly and thighs of bronze? Greece. And the legs of iron? The Roman Empire. But what about the feet? The 10 toes of iron and clay signify a divided kingdom, one partly strong, yet inherently brittle. Many scholars believe these toes symbolize 10 future kingdoms, paving the way for a climactic moment in history. But what could these kingdoms be? Fast forward to Daniel chapter 7. This time, Daniel himself has a vision of 4 beasts, symbolizing the same sequence of empires. But it's the 4th beast, the most terrifying, that commands our attention. It's described as having 10 horns, representing 10 kings or kingdoms arising out of its power. From these horns, another smaller horn rises, an enigmatic figure often associated with the Antichrist. This 11th horn uproots 3 of the original 10 and exerts dominion over the others. These 10 kingdoms are central to Daniel's prophecy and are often interpreted as the final world powers before the establishment of God's eternal kingdom. But what does that mean for us today? Are we living in a time where these kingdoms are forming? After the fall of the Roman Empire, many theologians linked the 10 kingdoms to the fragmentation of Rome. Some believed they represented the tribes that divided Europe, the Visigoths, Ostrogoths, Vandals, and others. But history is complex, and prophecy isn't always easy to pin down. Could these kingdoms be more than just ancient tribes? Could they represent alliances, coalitions, or modern political blocs? Today, some scholars suggest the 10 kingdoms might be symbolic of global power centers. Think of the United Nations, NATO, or regional alliances like the European Union. Are we watching prophecy unfold as nations coalesce into superpowers? Or are we still waiting for these 10 kingdoms to emerge? Let's turn our attention to recent history. In 2019, President Donald Trump expressed interest in purchasing Greenland, a Danish territory rich in resources and strategically located in the Arctic. The proposal was dismissed by Denmark, but it sparked widespread debate. Some interpreted this as a bold move to expand US territory, reminiscent of historical acquisitions like Alaska or the Louisiana Purchase. But Trump's ambitions didn't stop there. Some reports suggested he envisioned a closer integration of North America, hinting at a potential unification of the US, Canada, and Mexico into a single entity. Could such geopolitical moves align with Daniel's vision of the 10 kingdoms? If the US were to consolidate power over North America, would it become one of these 10 prophesied kingdoms? Or is this just a reflection of human ambition, separate from divine prophecy? As we look to the future, it's worth considering how these 10 kingdoms might form. Could they arise from existing superpowers, like the US, China, and Russia? Or could they emerge from economic or military alliances? The iron mixed with clay reminds us that these kingdoms will be both strong and fragile. Could this symbolize the tension between global unity and national sovereignty, between economic power and political instability? For believers, the 10 kingdoms remind us of one critical truth: earthly powers will always be temporary. Daniel's prophecy ends with a stone, not cut by human hands, striking the statue and establishing God's eternal kingdom. As we watch the world's events unfold, let's keep our eyes on that eternal kingdom. The signs of the times are not meant to fill us with fear, but with hope and anticipation. So what do the 10 kingdoms of Daniel mean for us today? Are we witnessing their formation in the modern world, or are these events still to come? While we may not have all the answers, one thing is clear. Prophecy invites us to watch, pray, and trust in God's sovereignty.